Morning, Mark.
How are you, Steve?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Welcome to Ascension at Prayer. Today we're looking at the readings for Christ the King Sunday, which is Sunday, November 26th, I think.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And last Sunday of the church year.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about Christ the King Sunday and why that's the last Sunday of the year, and what are we talking about?
Yeah, Christ the King Sunday is last Sunday before Advent. Advent, you're looking forward to Jesus coming again. He came in Christmas time. He's coming again, we understand, to judge the world. That's something we could talk about a little bit, because I think it bears in with our hymn for this week. Mm-hmm. But Christ the King Sunday, basically Jesus is enthroned, right? He's in charge. He's the one who says what's good and what's not. He's in judgment over the world. And in the gospel lesson, we see him in judgment, separating out the sheep from the goats. And it's interesting because all of them say to him, Lord, Lord, right? They all see that he's large and in charge. And so you have, I guess, kind of a group that would be completely Christian, or would identify as people who are saying, oh yeah, I know that Jesus is God. But the distinction that he makes is some of them found him in the poor and the prisoners. They didn't know it was Jesus, but they were faithful to these people. They gave a glass of water to one of these little ones who was hungry or thirsty, went and visited the poor, and Jesus says, on that basis, you were faithful to me. You actually treated me as I was the Lord, as though I was Lord. Why is that? That's because the first time when Christ came in judgment, he came as a little baby, and then he came as this sort of wandering outcast rabbi, and then he died on a cross. And so when he was raised up in judgment, it was on the cross. And that seems like a funny way to be king or to judge people. But what ended up happening was, in that being raised up on the cross, he showed who the good guys and the bad guys really were, right? All those religious leaders who were supposed to be the good guys, they were the ones who put him on the cross.
Right, and there was some irony in that when they crucified him and they said, "Hail, King of the Jews," and they mocked him. Mm-hmm. You know, knowing what we know about from our hymn when it talks about a crown of thorns.
Yeah, so tell me about this hymn.
Yeah, so there's the two parts. So the hymn is the head that once was crowned with thorns, Lutheran Service Book 532. There's two parts of that crown. There's the crown of thorns that Jesus wore, obviously, when he was on the cross, but now he's crowned in glory. And so that's why when we use this hymn in the context of Christ the King, we can also use it in other contexts. It's a very multi-purpose hymn. We've used it for Easter a lot too, because it celebrates not the good things. Of course, Jesus did good things when he died on the cross. That was good. But now that he has risen, he is in glory. And there's some incredible just revelry that we have when we are crowning Jesus with the royal diadem yeah.
And the point that it seems to be making too is that the good things don't necessarily look like good things.
Right.
Right. It might look like a crown of thorns, but actually this is the kind of crown that is real, is a saint's crown. Mm-hmm. Right. This is the kind of crown that translates over into heaven.
Right.
Just like in that judgment scene in the gospel lesson for this Sunday, it's the people who are doing sort of menial stuff, not the large and in charge people, not the rich man. You know the story of the rich man and Lazarus? Mm-hmm. Right? The rich man is the guy that everyone wants their kids to be when they grow up, right? You don't want your kid to be Lazarus. He's the bum on the side of the street holding the sign.
Right.
And yet who goes to heaven? It's the Lazarus.
It's Lazarus. Yeah.
Right, and the rich man goes to hell. So I think that kind of translates over into regular life, like, if you have the choice between doing menial stuff around your house and changing diapers and making your kids happy, or going off and having a great legacy where you're kind of a world-changing individual, the faithful thing is actually the home thing. And that's a message that I think really speaks to us, especially in this day and age, where this is a constant source of tension.
Yeah, we're afraid to get our hands dirty, especially in the context of a church.
Sure. And so, we're surrounded by homeless people here at Ascension, mm-hmm. And we have a duty based on this to make sure that we're not assessing things in the world's way,
right?
But according to the saintliness that Jesus shows us, the judgment that Jesus shows us as King.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us today, Ascension at Prayer. We're going to be having some videos available for you on our YouTube channel. Click the links so you can hear and watch the videos of the hymn and get ready for Sunday.
And be well in the Lord.
Thanks.